Hello, Fight Insight fans, viewers, and listeners. I'm the Filipino podcasting machine, Prix D, and with me, as always, Timmy B. Before we start, please take a moment to follow and subscribe to us on YouTube or wherever you get your pods and leave 5-star reviews. And if you'd like to support the show, check out middaysquares.com and use our code FIGHTINSIDE15 to save 15% on your first order. On today's episode, we talk legalese and try not to incriminate ourselves, recap cost and Vettori drama, the ONE FC Grand Prix, UFC 267, and a whole lot more. Tim, hit it!
Yeah, it's Timmy B, Prix D, Fight Insight. Yeah, that's right.
Our guest today is truly one of the most interesting characters we've ever had on the show. He's an attorney and counselor at law, recognized by the National Trial Lawyers as a top 40 under 40 in the area of criminal defense, who will fight for your rights. And he's a fighter who will knock you out with his left. In addition to fighting, both in the cage and in the courtroom, he cares very deeply about the community and devotes much of his time and resources to a number of causes, particularly in the area of youth sports and education. He's a general counsel for First Round Management. We're extremely excited to talk to him today about various current events and issues and the legal aspects surrounding them in MMA. From Palm Bay, Florida. Ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor and a privilege to welcome to the podcast
Daniel, the fight lawyer, Martinez!
Hey guys, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. And I got to tell you, that's a hell of an intro. I don't know if I've ever had one like that. And I'm going to start asking judges why they don't announce me like you guys do.
Yeah.
You know?
You fly us down to Palm Bay, Miami, and that could just be our job. We'll just introduce you into court every time.
Why not? And by the way, really good production on your podcast. I've been on a couple, not a lot, but this is the first one that I was really, really excited about because no offense to anybody out there, but I don't know what I'm doing in the podcast world. But let me tell you, your production's really good. Both of you guys have a really strong grasp of the knowledge of what you talk about, but you also keep it fresh and mixed up. You know, a lot of fight podcasts stick to only one thing. I like how you kind of branch out. So I'm very thankful to be here, and I appreciate the invite.
Okay, listen, Daniel, what do you want for Christmas? All right, I'm sending it over. You let me know. All right?
What do I want for Christmas? I just want a really good year for me and my clients. How about that?
There you go. And it's
That's
coming your way, buddy. I can feel it.
That's a good thing, man.
And I'm freshly inked, by the way, guys. How many lawyers do you know that throw hands in the ring if necessary, but also stay sleeved up? I try to stick to my own lane, guys.
No. Daniel, I got to say, last week we had a guy on our podcast who looks like he should be a lawyer on TV, and he's a bare knuckle champion. This time we've got a lawyer who looks like he should be a bare knuckle champion, right?
Right. So we should change places.
We'll do a Freaky Friday movie.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Daniel, let me just ask you a quick question, man. So in terms of your tats, like how fully tatted are you?
I have a full sleeve on my right arm, full sleeve on the left arm. Although I had to fill in some gaps. I've got a couple on my back. I'm working on a complete back piece. I got a chest piece. That's about it. I mean, I have quite a few. I wouldn't say I'm at like the Warlocks level, but I'm getting there.
Wow.
Daniel, before we get into the heavy stuff, because like you said, and I really appreciate it, we talk about a whole bunch of different subjects. And so I've got a bunch of legal things that I want to talk to you about. But before we get to that, very briefly, who is Daniel Martinez and how did you get into law?
He's a hell of a guy. I don't know if you've asked around, but no. Who am I? I come from a humble background. My parents and my grandparents are from Uruguay in South America. And as a result, as a child, I always had to kind of play translator for my grandparents if they didn't know how to speak to somebody over the phone, or even helping my parents with language barriers. So I kind of always have seen myself as an advocate for others, if that makes sense. So if grandma needed something, even when I was 8, 9, 10 years old, I was the one who had to go argue, not in a negative way, but I was the one that had to put forth our position, our facts, whatever. But I come from a really, really good family. We're very supportive of each other. We love each other very much. My dad and I still, and my mother and I talk. Well, I'm 40 years old. We still speak like 2 or 3 times a day. Speak to my grandparents. I just got a picture of my grandpa wearing my Daniel Martinez shirt. I thought that was great. But
Nice.
to make a long story short, I've always felt this desire, this will, this focus, if you will, to help other people through communication. I've been blessed with the ability to communicate very well in English and Spanish. And so I use that to my advantage so that I could speak on behalf of others in need. So that's always kind of been my thing. And I did some public speaking after I went to UCF for undergrad. I double majored in business and marketing and finance. And I thought I was going to end up doing like get rich quick kind of speeches, all that kind of stuff. I started doing it, didn't feel really good about myself because I didn't feel I was helping other people, but I did develop a lot of public speaking techniques. So then I kind of took that into the courtroom, went to law school, wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do. I didn't know if I wanted to do the sports agency route. Yeah. But when I got into mock trial and I started really winning and seeing, damn, I'm a damn good trial attorney, which is hard to come by. There's a million, don't get it twisted. Not every lawyer is a trial lawyer. You can be a lawyer. Maybe 1% of lawyers are really trial lawyers. And what I mean is, what do I mean by that is you hand me a file, you point in the direction of the court you want me to go to, and I'm your hired killer. I'm going to go and handle whatever you need me to handle. No questions asked.
Nice.
So that's kind of me in a nutshell. You know,
nice.
I do something that I enjoy, but mostly, as much as people think, oh, the prestige associated with being a lawyer. No, that's not true. If I wanted to make millions of dollars and I didn't care about people, I would just do personal injury and just be an ambulance chaser. And there's nothing wrong with that if that's what you want to do. But I want to help people with everyday problems. I want the grandma who calls me and says, my grandson is in jail. He was illegally arrested or whatever the case may be. And for me to be able to help that family, that means the world to me.
Nice. That's awesome, Daniel. That's a good way to like get into law and you know, to say that you were helping your grandparents speak at an early age. That's pretty awesome. That's a great way to transition in. You do represent, and we'll put the link to your Instagram on the show notes so people can find you, right? You have a very interesting Instagram. I'll tell people you're related, well, through your work, you're related to a lot of fighters and you help work with MMA fighters, boxers, bare knuckle fighters.
Right.
I wanted to ask you, first question is, last weekend we had the Paulo Costa and Marvin Vettori issues. Are you aware of like what was going on with the weight issue there?
A little bit, but please educate me a little bit more so I don't misspeak.
No worries. So I guess my question is around contracts and the legality of contracts. So they have a signed bout agreement for a certain weight class.
Sure.
In that agreement, there's normally the stipulation, to my understanding, that if you don't make weight, you're going to give up 20% of your purse.
Right.
Costa comes in way overweight, like 30 pounds overweight or whatever before. Says I'm going to change it. So weigh-ins are on Friday. Wednesday, right before we filmed our podcast last week, he's on there going, I need a different weight class. They end up negotiating up to 205, 20 pounds over.
Insane.
As a lawyer dealing with the contract, what would Marvin Vettori's legal ramifications around that be? Is he just going to negotiate better pay? Like what does he have there?
To answer your question, in my opinion, the minute that Acosta came in at that level, then you have two choices. Either you get the percentage of the purse, but since the contract was signed for a certain weight, in my mind, if I'm representing the other guy, I'm saying you have the choice to not take the fight and they can't penalize you because you were ready, willing, and able to perform. There's issues in contracts, and I don't want to break down a contract in full because it would take 2 days. But what I'm saying is some of the elements of a contract, you have to have performability, ready, willing, and able to perform. Now, Acosta was not ready and willing and able to perform. Therefore, in my opinion, there could have just been a complete cancellation of the bout altogether, and there should be no penalty to the non-violating fighter. Then, to answer your second part of your question, then there's a new bout agreement. So, assuming that new bout agreement superseded the old one, then we have a new contract, and then the client's recourses are not as much. if you have a maniac like me as your attorney, I would have said, no, don't take the fight. And don't even do this deal about letting him fight, come in overweight, because after they get hydrated, he's going to weigh another 20 pounds and he's going to beat and he's going to hurt you. And that's your career. That's your health and your livelihood. So I would have, if it was me, I would have said, don't take the fight.
Daniel, I wanted to argue with you. I was hoping you'd go a different way because I wanted to get into a fight with you. But I was fighting with people all over Instagram about that because I said Vettori should not take the fight. His management team, his coaches, they should worry about that, because once he takes it and then he loses, nobody's going to care that you manned up and fought. They're just going to go, hey, Betty, you lost.
That's a pride thing. And that's why it should never be up to fighters. Let me give you an example. You just raised a really good example. Let me give you an example. His name is Evander Holyfield. Okay? He chose to fight Vitor Belfort because he's a fighter. When you ask a fighter if they're fight, they'll say yes, because they're fighters and they have pride and courage and heart and dedication. It's not up to them. It's about their team. And his team should have never let him take that fight.
Yeah.
Same way that in this case, his team should have not let him take the fight either. It's not up to the fighter. The fighter's always going to say, let me fight. It's not up to the fighter.
Yeah.
You're in a position where you have to preserve your guy's health, his career, his state of mind, and all of those other things, and his pockets. Because let's be honest, if Acosta just whips his ass beyond belief, that's going to have the butterfly effect, and he's not going to get any good fights after that.
Right.
You know what? And it's Daniel. You mentioned that after they rehydrate, they blow up. And actually, what was it called? Costa blew up to 225.
Right.
And when Marvin was actually in a clinch with him, he's like, "Holy crap, this guy's huge!" Even in the post-fight interview, they were saying saying that
it was not even. It looked like it wasn't even a sanctioned fight.
Yeah. No, that's right. Because Vettori weighed in, he was allowed to weigh in up to 206, right? You're allowed that 1 pound. He weighed in at 204. I don't think that dude cut a single pound. I think he just was there at 204 thinking, I got to weigh 186.
I agree. And then so when he gets hydrated, he's still sitting at 207. Yeah. And now you got Acosta edging near 240 even.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was an embarrassment in my opinion for the commission, and not for the fighters. I'm not going to ever criticize a fighter because that's what they do. But that's why you have people around you. Just like me as an attorney, if my clients don't listen to me and I have their best interests at heart, we got to keep it moving, because I should have my fighters' best interest in heart and client.
And thanks for bringing that up too, Daniel, because I did raise that and I got yelled at by a bunch of 12-year-olds. But
of course,
where was I don't know, as a lawyer, do you ever deal with the commission? Because why would the athletic
all the time?
So why would the Athletic State Commission allow a fighter to agree to a fight where they know that the other guy is going to be 20 to 30 pounds heavier?
Hold on, let me see if this makes any sense. Hold on.
Money, baby.
For our audio listeners, Daniel Martinez.
I'm making a dollar sign. I'm making what is it? What was the fighter? $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase back in the 80s,
nice.
or maybe some basketball players do it now. I'm doing the dollar sign, and the reason I say that is, let's be real. This is a corrupt industry. This is a corrupt business, and somebody got paid, in my opinion.
Because you can't afford to lose your main event fight. Right.
So somebody got paid. So maybe they did a backroom deal where they said, here's a duffel bag full of money. I'm just saying, I can't imagine any other way. I mean, because of all the risks that we just talked about.
Because and that's what I was saying, Daniel, because even if Vettori said, I will take it, and that's definitely the mentality he had, right? And like you're saying, he's a fighter. Even if Vettori is out there going, I don't care the weight difference, I'm taking it, I'm a fighter. The commission should have been impartial and said no. No,
exactly. The commission and his team.
Well, because forget the team, though, but
yeah, I agree. But what I'm saying is I hold the team the most responsible, because the commission is going to do what's in the best interest of the commission and the sport in general. But when you have what's called a fiduciary relationship, when I represent a client, we have what's called a fiduciary relationship. And that means this. Let me give you an example. Let's say Princey D hired me for Timmy B. All right. And Princey D cuts me the check. He says, hey, I'm hiring you. I'm paying, Daniel. Okay. So I want to be involved in this case because I'm paying. I would have to say, with all due respect, Princey D, Timmy B is my client and I have to act in his best interest. And if at any point in time, anybody takes any actions contrary to my client's best interest, then I'm the guy who got to get involved. Forget about the commission. Keep the commission out. And I fought, and to answer your question, I fought with the commission several times. I'm not going to name any names, but I've gotten people reinstated for performance enhancing drugs. I've gotten people reinstated for criminal charges. I've gotten people reinstated who promoters who were alleged to not have paid matchmakers and fighters. Yeah. And I'm talking at the highest levels. So the commission's going to do what the commission wants to do. The team is who has the most responsibility.
All right. Daniel, we have so many questions and we don't have a lot of time. I want to move. We should have like an 8-hour podcast one day and we could then
no doubt. And I'm sorry, I'm going to run my mouth sometimes. What do you want me to do?
No worries. It's me. I'm going to get too passionate about this stuff. Next question, next issue. We're looking at, this is a terrible photo I'm putting up, but this is Conor McGregor punching a DJ in the face.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk to you, just get your opinion. We hear about fighters getting into legal trouble quite frequently outside of the cage, right? They get into problems. How and when can this impact their contract with an organization?
Oh, every time, because if you're an intelligent, and I've drafted agreements for, you name it. I'm not going to say the names right now, but any possible organization, because they haven't allowed me to, but any possible organization that I've dealt with, when you make a contract, there's a clause, it's called a morality clause, right? So just like let's say for the movie industry, let's say Disney decides to do another Marvel movie, and they're going to put on all their artists that are in that movie, there's a morality clause, so that if Robert Downey Jr. falls off the wagon and he gets back on crack cocaine, which I don't think is going to happen, but let's just say it does, and he goes on a binge, well, they can release him. And the same thing goes for the UFC. The UFC has morality clauses that put, hey, if you put our organization in a bad light, we are allowed to terminate this agreement. I don't know about Conor specifically because I haven't seen his individual contract, but it would blow my mind, guys, that wasn't part of it. The morality clause should be part of any contract.
So then why? I'm asking a stupid question, but again, I fight with probably 8-year-olds on this one, but why would organizations like the UFC keep people on like John Jones, like Conor, like whatever, when they get into...
Go ahead, I'm sorry. No, well, I was going to say it's dollars and cents. I mean, because you look at a guy like Luis Pena, who I've represented, and he was released from the UFC, and I'm not going to get into any of the specifics of the allegations, but I can tell you this. He's been released by the UFC, and John Jones has not. Now, let me ask you this. Let me return the question to you. Are they being treated the same by the UFC or different? Different. Right. How so? One was released and one was not. Okay, so that much is clear. So the question becomes why? Right. I think that's pretty self-evident. I think that if you're a big enough star, you can get away with certain things that other people can't. Let's look at what Kathy Griffin did when she had that photo of Donald Trump's head, right? Yeah. If she was an A-list celebrity, if that was Jennifer Aniston, maybe, just maybe, she wouldn't have had the same result that Kathy Griffin did.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of who you are.
And can I tell you, Daniel, the CNN New Year's Eve show is never as good without Kathy Griffin.
I know.
I know.
I was upset about it as well. And it was a mistake. And quite frankly, who knows if that was even her idea? It could have been the director who, because when models go to photo shoots, they're told what to do half the time anyway. So, but that's just another story. But the point is that it's largely dependent upon who you are and what you do for the company. Now, Conor McGregor is a global icon. Mm-hmm. And a lot of eyes, there's a lot of fans that won't watch any other MMA fighter or event, but the minute that Conor McGregor's on a pay-per-view, they're going to buy it. So that answers your question right there.
But the
So
problem
it's
is,
a part of it
John,
also is a part of it also is like favoritism too. Like you favoritism, and popularity. So it's two of the other. Because you see the stuff that Jones has gone through. It's just like you're surprised this guy's still on. Like you haven't seen the news clip of him getting cut out of the UFC. So I mean that probably plays a factor right there.
Right. No, absolutely. And that's what I'm saying. It's favoritism. But remember, the UFC is not out here to make friends. They're out here to make money. And while they are showing favoritism, that is not because they personally like John Jones better than Luis Pena. It's just that they look at the bottom line. How much money have we made on pay-per-views with John Jones? X amount of millions. How many dollars have we made from Conor McGregor's pay-per-views? X amount of millions. How many UFC cards has Pena or other fighters headlined? And so they look at that kind of stuff. It's not about.
But the problem is, Daniel, is that if you don't set the precedent, right? If you don't fire the big superstar like John Jones, mind you, John Jones hasn't made you a penny in years, and he's likely not going to, because the guy's not going to fight. He's going to be in legal trouble. He's going to get too old, too big, too fat. You're keeping on this guy, and what you're telling your younger superstars, like a Sugar Sean O'Malley, like a Patty the Baddie, you're kind of telling them, hey, if you are one of our favorites, if you are a fan favorite, don't worry about doing shit outside the ring.
You're absolutely right.
You're fine. We won't mess around with you.
That's
not good. It's not keeping your fighters in check. It's not keeping people on an equal playing field.
Yeah. Could you imagine? That's a very, very good point, Timmy, because if you can imagine that John Jones was cut like 2 arrests ago, right? Then other fighters would have said, well, shit, if John Jones can't do it, I sure can't. And they might think twice about their actions, right? But there's another theory that I have, that the UFC keeps him under contract just so he can't go elsewhere. And then they're just going to let him sit,
Yeah, almost like a punishment. And that's actually a pretty good point, because one of the fan questions actually asked about that. So I'll get to that later.
Sure.
Next question I want to get to deals with Patty the Baddie, our good buddy. And I do have something here. This is from our friends. This is a quote. It might be hard to read, but this is a quote that he gave. This is on the MMA Chamber, a good friend of ours on Instagram. He says, F that. I'm not fighting a top 10 on the money that I'm on. Nick Pete was saying he'd like to see me fight against Tony Ferguson. I'd like to see me against Tony Ferguson, but not on the contract that I'm on now. F that. Get paid that money, blah, blah, blah. Right?
I agree 100% with Patty there.
Okay.
I agree.
Okay, but hold on, though. He, similar to Sean O'Malley, whatever, these guys sign a contract, Daniel. They sign a multi-fight deal. Our regular Joe's understanding is that most contracts are for multi-fights. You lock in for X dollars per fight.
Scale up, yep.
Why does Patty feel like that rule does not apply to him?
That's a good question. That's a really good question. I think that the system is flawed to begin with, quite frankly, because, like you said, it's fixed based on amount of fights, not level of competition, not how good you are, right? It's based on, okay, your first contract with the UFC, this is what you're going to make to show up. This is what you're going to make if you win. And this is what you're going to make if you have knockout of the night or submission of the night or whatever, right? Get it. So the system is flawed. And he's just showing there's a flaw in the system. Because, not for nothing, but Patty's got to look out for Patty. And yeah, he probably would do really well against Tony Ferguson. But is it fair to someone like Patty, who just got to this level, to have to fight against someone at that caliber? Because this reminds me of guys like Mike Davis. Mike Davis is a really good friend of mine, right? But his first 4 or 5 fights in the UFC, he fought killers, like straight killers. You know what I mean? So he could have very easily been without a UFC contract at this point, based on the guys they had him go up against. He could have gone 0-4.
Yeah.
Now he's gotten a couple wins, but the UFC is very inconsistent with the way that they do these things. So I agree with both sides. I agree with you. You're locked into a contract. You agreed. You have to perform. But do I agree with Patty's feeling that it's unfair, 100%. However, I'm going to side with you on this one, despite us wanting to argue a little bit. I'm going to side with you on this one because, I'm a lawyer, and I agree. If you're signed to a contract, if there's an agreement, even if that agreement is not quote unquote fair, you locked it in. You signed it. It's as is. It's like when you go buy a car, right? You go buy a car, you sign, and it says as is. You take that car home, and it's a lemon. You're done. You're an adult. You sign a contract. So I agree with the overall premise that you're saying, Tim, but I see where Patty's coming from. I think that they're really drastically trying to have him fight top 10 guys when he's not quite ready. Not that he doesn't have the skill set, but let's face it, he came from another promotion. And Conor McGregor wasn't fighting Tony Ferguson's when he first got to the UFC.
Right.
He fought like 4 or 5 bums before they had him start fighting the Poiriers. And you know what I'm saying? Like the
Marcus Brimage,
60 grams, baby. Like that shit. Dude, come on. They still show that clip. And I don't even remember who he fought, but he fought a couple of clowns before he started fighting the Nate Diaz's, the Poiriers, and all the other guys.
Yeah. So Daniel, basically the take-home message here is if you sign, you don't whine.
That's right. If you sign, you don't whine, but you're allowed to feel how you want to feel. And I fully support Pat saying that because maybe, just maybe, that'll have an effect on how the UFC does business in the future. Nevertheless, for now, he's locked in.
So,
But
sorry, go ahead, Tim. No. So as a lawyer, you're not worried that your client speaks out against their employer? I always have a problem with that too. I'm always like, why don't you just, keep your mouth a little bit more shut? Seems like some people get a little bit better treatment when they're a little bit more of a company man.
I agree. But at the same time, I got to respect it because, look at MLK and look at all the people, our historical figures that didn't go, they didn't go with the status quo, right? That was the status quo. When Martin Luther King was doing civil rights marches, there was a colored bathroom and a white bathroom, right? And that was the way it was. And he didn't accept it. He spoke out and he spoke out and he spoke out until it affected change. Even though that's what the law was. The law is meant to change based on the evolution of people. We have gay marriage now. That would have been unfathomable 40 years ago, 30 years ago, 20 years ago. So while I agree that's the law now, I also very much am a proponent of speaking your mind and telling it how it is, especially if you have a pedestal, especially if you're a person who people look up to.
Yeah. Hey, Daniel, I was going to ask you, are you finding more and more fighters are getting to know where their legal standpoints are in terms of like contracts and things like that? Like, are you finding like, oh man, they're actually doing the research?
No. God bless them. I want fighters to continue to use managers and lawyers because they need us. I mean, it's just like I can't tell a fighter what to do. They can't tell me what to do. And this is a whole different world. Litigation, contract disputes, that is its own specialty. There's literally lawyers that get paid thousands of dollars per hour just to focus on that. So, I put a post on my Instagram today that says, if I do a job for you in 30 minutes, it's not the 30 minutes you need to worry about. It's the 10 years that it took me to learn how to do that job in 30 minutes. Right. So that's how I feel.
Yep. No, nice, Daniel. I'm going to get to some fan questions because I know the time is going. I had a whole bunch of other points that I wanted to talk to you about there, but
hey, I'll be back on. I'll be back on soon. Don't worry.
Yeah, no, I really want to have you back on, man. You're awesome, dude. Okay.
Thank you.
First fan question is from Tony's_student. This guy always sends us great questions. So Tony's_student, we appreciate you, man.
Hey, Tony, follow me.
Yeah. Yes. Now, what's wrong with this guy? All right. Why can't GSP box without UFC's permission? Can't he just retire from MMA? And then this is where I was saying that this is kind of like that keeping him hostage thing, right?
Great question. Yes, he's being held hostage because at the time that he signed the contract, that was later in his career when he was signing the big money fights, right?
Yeah.
So the UFC protecting their investment, every MMA contract that I've ever reviewed, and I've reviewed for Masvidal, for Derek Lewis, for you name it. I've reviewed it. Those contracts say you cannot fight for any other promotion, whether it be boxing, bare knuckle, wrestling, grappling, whatever the case may be, because that's exactly right. They want to keep them hostage. So if GSP decides to fight and it's going to be a big money fight, the UFC has the right of first refusal, you know?
So, okay, but then, so why do so many UFC fighters fight in jiu-jitsu things? Is it because there's no real risk of harm there? Or because they have to get, or do they still have to get permission for that?
I think they don't because and that's a good point, because most of those contracts say that it's an exclusive bout agreement or exclusive contract, and it'll include no other bare knuckle, kickboxing, MMA, or whatever. But usually jiu-jitsu, grappling is left out of that. So that gives them the ability, like Phil Rowe. Phil Rowe is one of my best friends. And even though he's under contract with the UFC, you'll see him every couple of months do a grappling thing.
Yeah, you see that all the time.
Right. And that's the answer. I think grappling is excluded from the types of. I think GSP could take a grappling match right now. Without even going to the UFC. But when it comes to boxing, pugilism, kickboxing, MMA, or any of those types of combat sports, then no dice. No dice for GSP.
All right. Phil Rowe, you're a friend of Daniel Martinez. You want to be a friend of ours, come follow us too, man.
Yeah, I'll let him know.
Yeah, do. Next question is a former guest of ours. He's an amateur fighter, trains out at Dan Henderson's facility.
That's great.
Matt Queso Padilla, Matt Padilla 125. He asks, what are some shady subtleties that early pros should look for in their fight contracts? And I followed up with him, and he means bout agreements or multi-fight deals.
Wow, really good question, because I've had a few cases come up that are litigated this way. So many promotions will put you on a deal that says, okay, this is a 3-fight bout contract or whatever. However, if you become, they put this language in there. However, if you become the champion of our promotion or whatever, then you automatically owe us, by becoming a champion, you owe us 2 more fights or 3 more fights, and they won't put the amount of money. So here's what I've run into. Let's say you get $5,000 for every fight. You did a 3-fight deal, 5, 5, and 5. But then they'll make you their champion. You know, now you're the champion. So guess what? Now automatically we've triggered the clause in the contract that makes you have to fight longer for this promotion. So one huge red flag is look at any contract that extends your contract automatically. So I would never do that. I would advise my clients, no. If it's a 3-fight contract, it's a 3-fight contract. There is no automatic renewal. There is no automatic, they call it a championship clause, that if you become the champion, then you owe them X amount of fights. So that's number one.
Okay.
Number 2 is anything precluding you from other promotions that are in other sports. So, for example, if you had to fight with sign with an MMA promotion, well, I would stick to your guns, hire an attorney like Daniel Martinez, stick to your guns and say, I'm happy to sign this MMA contract, and I'm happy to not go to any other MMA promotion. But if I get an opportunity to take a boxing match for another promotion, I want to be able to do that. So those are the 2 things. Number 1, the automatic extension clauses. And number 2, stuff that prevents you from that. Because look at GSP. If GSP had something in there that said, this only applies to MMA, then right now he could box and he'd have no issues. He wouldn't even have to request permission from the UFC.
Interesting. So, I mean, are you saying that promotions just give the person the belt? Like, you mean that they didn't earn it? That's how they're triggering it? They just go, hey, guess what? You're our new interim champ?
That's kind of what I'm saying. Like, they could say you're the new interim champ, or they'll just say, let's say they put you for a 3-fight deal and you get pretty good knockouts on your first 2 fights. Then they'll say, oh, okay, this next one's a title match, and they'll put you up against a duck knowing you're going to win that. Then you become the champion, and then you're fucked
And now
because you're the champion. You're
Okay.
stuck like Chuck. Yep.
That's awesome. That's so crazy, man.
Yeah, it's crazy, but I see it every day.
No, but I appreciate that advice, and I know Queso will too. Because Queso, man, he is an up and comer, dude. That guy's a beast. So we're
Good.
happy for him.
I'd love to see him up there.
Yeah.
Maybe you could send me in my DMs. You could send me some of these guys that support your show.
Yeah,
that are
man.
good guys. Let me know, and I'll follow them because
For
I
sure,
like
man.
to be tied into the community, especially with good people like you guys.
Yeah, for sure, buddy. Thank you so much.
Daniel, listen, I just got to say, man, listen, with all the information that you've shared with us right now, I think I'm ready to write the bar exam.
Hey, I think so too.
Like, oh my goodness, my head is overloaded, like information overload. Guys, this is by far the most informative episode of Fight Insight we've ever had. So, Daniel, I appreciate that, man.
Thank you so much. And, like I said, I'm happy to come on again. If you want me to come on once, I'll come on once a month. If you wanted to do some legal stuff, like once a month, whatever you need from me, I'm happy to help.
We appreciate this so much, Daniel. Like, seriously, ever since we began this podcast in February, we didn't even think we would really get guests. And then all of a sudden we started getting guests. And the minute we did, I was like, man, I would love a lawyer that's versed in MMA stuff to be able to talk to. So I appreciate finding you so much, man. I think we found you through Bare Knuckle, through maybe Fusion CBD.
I think so too. Yeah. Danny's a good guy.
Yeah. Great guy.
Man. I like seeing his posts now because he's like really dead serious about fight. Yeah, I know. Yeah. So same here. I'm probably going to take another fight again. And one thing you may not know about me, I got a couple amateur fights myself. And I'm going to be taking a couple more.
Nice. Excellent, man. Guys, follow Daniel Martinez. And we're talking about CBD Fusion, the owner of that company. So we'll put the links in the show notes. Last question, Daniel, before you go. This actually is a question from me. Watching your Instagram, I saw you say something. You said, hands up, drugs down.
Gloves up, guns down.
Sorry, what is it?
Gloves up, guns down.
Gloves up, guns down. Sorry, I apologize. Sure. Can you say what that is and what that means?
I would love to tell you that. Well, obviously, as being largely my practice is criminal defense, so I have to help people that have gone through some issues. But it started breaking my heart when I see all these teenage boys and girls that are in gangs, and I mean, I'm talking way too young. I got one client. I can't say names, obviously. I got one client, 16 years old, who is charged with getting into a fight at a basketball court, normal fight, runs out to a car, gets a 308. I don't know if you guys know what a 308 is. It's a big ass, like, elephant killing gun. You know what I mean? And he just started shooting it at a crowd. Didn't hit anybody. Could have killed people. Didn't. And I helped him, and I got him out of trouble. He's a juvenile, etc. But I thought, you know what? We need a movement of kids that realize that that's not the way to go. So I built my own boxing gym right next to my law firm. It's attached to it. It's a non-profit. I don't know if you've seen it on Instagram, but it's a non-profit. It is 100% free for anybody to train, whether you're male, female, young, old. I train there. I'm old, and it doesn't matter. The point is that I call it gloves up, guns down. And there's a lot of other gloves up, guns down movements. I didn't invent that theory. But the thing is, gloves up, guns down. Let's put down the guns. Let's put up the gloves, and let's do this positively. If you have energy, you need to get out. If you have aggression, this is the way to do it. The pugilistic way. Let's make it a sport. Let's not make it a dying activity. I just want to see people do well.
Daniel, that's awesome, man.
That's amazing, man. Guys, if you're listening to this in Spotify, you guys have to check this guy out. So Daniel Martinez right now is rocking a massive beard, fully tatted, power tie. Man, being around your presence, I feel like I got to go buy a brand new suit. Look at this man. Look how massive this guy is. What type of steroids are you on now, Daniel?
Prince, don't be ashamed. Show him your new Squid Game tracksuit that you got. Daniel, do you have any clue?
I've watched Squid Game. That shit is fresh.
Right?
That's dope. And you're Filipino too, right?
Yes, yes, Daniel. How'd you know that, buddy?
You said that at the beginning. You said Filipino.
Oh, Filipino. Okay. I thought you saw the flag.
I listen.
Okay.
But no, I'm friends with a lot of Filipinos, obviously, and I have the Philippines flag at my boxing gym because obviously Manny Pacquiao and tons of other really outstanding Filipino boxers. I respect the the traditions and the culture very much.
Nice. Well, Daniel, thank you so much for your time. Like, we appreciate you so much, man. I'm taking you up on the offer. We're going to have you back for sure. The minute we've got, something interesting in the news or whatever, we will definitely have you back, and we welcome you. But before we let you go, guys, again, information will be in the show notes. He's got a podcast that's going to be starting. Is there anything that you'd like to say before you go, Daniel, to the fans, friends, family?
No, I would just ask that you follow me on my Instagram so you can see what we're doing. It's at the Fight Lawyer, THE Fight Lawyer. You can follow me on Instagram or Facebook as well. And anything you need at all, I do free consultations. I don't believe in taking people's money unless I can help them. Many other attorneys will charge you a consultation fee. I don't do that. If I can't help you, I'll be the first to tell you. I can't help you. I'm sorry, but I cannot take your money because I like to sleep at night. I'm not like most lawyers. I think you can tell that already.
Mm-hmm. Oh, definitely. Listen, Daniel, part of the reason why we wanted to have you on was I've got like tons and tons of outstanding parking tickets. I was hoping for you to help me out with, but you know what? We'll wait for that for the next episode. Yes,
Yeah. Hey, my client didn't say that. Motion to strike.
Nope.
Motion to strike that from the transcript.
Yeah. We'll figure that out, Daniel. Daniel, thank you so much, my friend.
Guys.
We are so happy to have you on the show. Have a wonderful
Thank
day.
you.
And
what do I have to do anything here, or just
no? I'll just boot you out. You're good. Have a good one.
Good to see you guys. Take care. God bless.
Good, Daniel. Be good, buddy.
Oh my goodness, dude! How cool is that?
That guy is, man.
Man, I hope the fans, viewers, and listeners like that, because, man, I had a great time talking to him. We could have gone down a rabbit hole on some of those subjects, but I think we got like a general gist, and I can't wait to have him back on. Maybe we'll focus on like one item more. You know what I mean? At one item for the whole time. But yeah, what a great dude.
And you know what, guys? If you guys are watching this right now, and he's already mentioned my pleasure, guys, right on the chat. The first person to ever write anything on the chat. There you go. But what an amazing guy. Wow.
Yeah. No, amazing. So Prince, we went a little bit long, which is great because we love it. But we've got a few things that we want to talk about. So let's rush through these bad boys so that we get to them. First thing I want to talk about is the ONE FC Grand Prix.
Yes.
Guys, what the heck has happened? So to let you guys know, this is, we had Denise on the show. Unfortunately, I'm going to say it. She got robbed on her fight, right? Mm-hmm. So she's not in it. Elise Anderson, unlucky, didn't win her match. They go into the semis. The bouts get figured out. Sohee Ham has to withdraw due to a broken finger. The replacement that won one of the alternate matches, Julie Mezarbarba, she goes in, and the replacement. And then now just this week, who is it? Itsuki Hirata had to withdraw due to fever, not COVID, but fever. Yep. Jenilyn Olsem, baby. Our guest from 2 weeks ago, Jenilyn Olsem, is in the podcast. Was on the podcast. She is now in the Grand Prix. The day this podcast comes out, Prince, she is fighting. She fights Ritu Fogat. And then on the other side of the bracket, we have Stamp versus Mezarbarba, which is a great name to say. That name is amazing. Julie Mezarbarba. So best of luck to Jenilyn Olsem. Prince, what do you got on that?
Oh my gosh! Like, listen, that Grand Prix turned into a Bold and the Beautiful, the Young and the Restless, all combined. Like that, I am
the drama,
the drama, like unreal, right? And so, I mean, now we've got Jenilyn is our saving grace. Hopefully, she goes in there, takes the dub. She's got a lot of competition ahead of her, but I am confident she's going to take it. And yeah, Tim, man, it's exciting. I don't even know what to tell you. Like, when I found out that Jenilyn was in it, it was just like, wow, this is it. And you should see also on Facebook, everybody is flooding in. They're like, Jenilyn, you got this, right?
Going crazy for her. Prince, I'm not saying that it's because of us, but 4 UFC fighters that have been on our podcast have won Performance of the Nights or Fight of the Nights. That's pretty crazy odds considering how few UFC fighters we have. 4 of them, Performance of the Night, Fight of the Night. Jenilyn Olsem comes on, didn't get her alternate match because the girl dropped out. She's on our podcast fingers crossed, saying, I hope that I can somehow get into this Grand Prix. 2 weeks later, she's in the Grand Prix.
Right.
You're
So
welcome. You're welcome.
Absolutely, you got it, Tim. So you listen. You come on to Fight Insight, and you're guaranteed
You
something.
want good stuff. Yeah.
You want some good stuff. This is it. Fight of the night, extra cash, and on your way up to a championship. So there you go. So
For those that are on audio only, Prince is slowly decaying into darkness. What the hell is happening to your why do you have nothing going on? You're like,
you know what? I was hoping that you
turn on a light, man.
You weren't gonna say anything there, Tim.
Yeah. All right. Okay. We're not going to talk. Okay. We're not going to talk. Yeah, way better. We're not going to talk about Costa versus Vettori and the whole thing because we brought that up with Daniel and we kind of talked about it. The fight was freaking fantastic. So we'll get past that. We'll come back to it one day later, but very happy for Vettori. You know, I'm glad that Daniel said that Vettori really shouldn't have taken that fight, but holy moly, what a fight. Prince, you saw it. Your thoughts on it quickly?
Yeah, you know what? It was a crazy fight. Like, I mean, Costa, pulled it at the very end, tried to muster something to even to at least try to knock him out or get a dub. But I mean, he just couldn't get it done. But yeah, no, Vettori again. Even what Daniel was saying, that he should have not taken that fight. But again, he even said, like, there's no way I'm passing up on this fight. I trained for it. I'm going to go for it. And yeah, he did exactly what we thought he was going to do. Just continue and fight this guy, regardless if he was like 20 pounds overweight, 22 pounds overweight. So yeah, I thought that was a crazy fight. What do you think, Tim?
Amazing fight. I'm going to just show quickly on the screen. There's a quote from Dana White that says, we were trying to keep this fight alive and make sure it happened. We couldn't have done it without a guy like Vettori. So, Dana White, high praises for this guy. But now when I read that quote and I think about Daniel Martinez giving me this, I'm like, okay, all right. Next thing we want to talk about, Prince, and now we can spend just a touch of time here. Here's a better UFC fight poster for UFC 267, which is this weekend. A better fight poster was created by our friends at MMA Social Squad. This is that's their poster. Freaking kick ass, right?
That's sick.
Return to Fight Island. You've got a whole bunch of fights here, Prince. On the prelim main event, you've got Amanda Ribas, who is a very high fan favorite. She's taking on Verna Jandiroba. Let's see. Li Jingliang, the Leech from China, takes on the returning Khamzat Chimaev. Who do you have for that one, Prince?
I think it's a sure bet. Kazmat's going to take this bad boy. 9-0. He's kicking butt. Even if you watch Embedded 2, he's working on stand up. He's got knockout power. He's got that wrestling background, but I think he's going to go in there and take it, but via either knock. Again, I think it's going to go by knockout. I feel he's got it in him. I know he hasn't fought in a while, but I honestly think he will take it. And as much as I love the Leech, I got my money on him.
How dare you, Prince? How many times have I supported Filipino fighters in respect of your heritage? Now we get a Chinese fighter, and you can't give me that respect. The Leech is 4 wins in his last 5. His last 3 wins, KO by punch, performance of the night. TKO by punch. Oh, sorry. And that was against Santiago Ponzinibbio. TKO by punch, performance of the night against Zaleski dos Santos. TKO, body kick and punches, performance of the night against David Zawada. This guy is a monster. He's going to destroy Khamzat. He's going to end that train so badly. And the Leech is going to represent and get me a title. That's all I'm saying, Prince. Terrible of you.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. I got to go against the grain with this one.
That's it.
Come on, man. Like, look at the guy.
All right. Islam Makashev versus Dan Hooker.
I'm so glad I get the first pick. Islam via submission, baby.
Yeah.
That's who I got for this. Who do you got?
I'm going to go with you on that. I feel like Dan Hooker is getting pushed a little bit too quick on this one. I don't know. I'd love for Dan Hooker to win because he seems like such a nice guy. But I also worry that he just doesn't have the experience or he's making a quick turnaround too. And sorry guys, I'm scrolling through my phone here as I look because there's so much to talk about today. He just fought September 25th. Mind you, it was against Nasrat Haqparast, who's not, a top contender, but that's a pretty quick turnaround to come in against Islam. I'm not keen on that,
Well,
I'm going Islam on that one.
Okay, Islam. Okay.
I'm going to skip to the main event before we do the co-main because I like the co-main better, and I have a little surprise. But Jan Blachowicz, champion, versus Glover Teixeira. Two wonderfully nice gentlemen. They are very friendly, very nice to one another. This is a very respectful, honorable fight. Who do you have winning this one?
Tim, have you seen the movie Cinderella Man with Russell Crowe?
No, I have not. I do not like Russell Crowe. Next.
You should go watch it.
Okay.
If anyone who's seen the movie, I'm going with Glover. This is his final chance.
Yeah.
He's fought his way all the way up. He's gone through adversity. This is like his second time around to try and capture the belt. I honestly think he's gonna drop everything he's got to win this one. So I say Glover, and I've never rooted for somebody so badly. This guy right here, I'm really hoping he takes it. That's who I've got.
Yeah, I do love Glover. He's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 wins in his last 7. He's and all 6 of those wins are finishes. Like this guy finishes people. Okay, so TKO punches against Serkinov, submission Carl Robertson, submission Ion Kutilaba, the Hulk. Oh no, never mind. Decision against Nikita Krylov, but then TKO against Anthony Lionheart-Smith. Yep. Rear naked choke against Thiago Santos. Glover's a beast. I love him to death. I hope he can do it. But if I was a betting man, I would pick Jan. I feel like Jan's just bigger, younger, stronger. It's going to be tough for Glover, but man, you're right. Cinderella story if he wins it.
Yeah, and yeah, that would be. And plus, both of them, look at him. They were both almost about to get cut from the UFC just because they were going on their losing streaks. And look, now they're both fighting for championships, right? So
crazy, man. Yeah, good for them, man. Prince, the co-main event is the one of utmost interest to me. Bantamweight interim title on the line.
Yep.
And we have from our good friend at Stand EM Up. He has created our Pokemon cards for us again to show the two fighters. Yes. We've got Pyotr Yan versus Corey Sandhagen. Guys, take a look on screen. We'll post it on our Instagram as well. We'll put these cards up as well. We do a collab post with Stand 'Em Up. Just funny here, Jan's card gives him Pride Rules Yan move, which is Yan illegally knees his opponent after beating him up the entire fight. This does a significant amount of damage, but beware, it might make the opponent act and take the victory. Okay, so that's not a good move. Corey Sandhagen has something crazy, which does 999 damage. This is a good move. When the Sandman gets into his flow, you're becoming a highlight reel for the ages, flying knees, wheel kicks, all of that flashy stuff. Nothing is new for this guy. Prince, how do you like these cards?
This is solid, and I'd like to keep the Yan. Is the Yan a hologram card?
You probably have to pay more to get the hologram version, but yeah.
I mean, in terms of this fight, I have it on Yan. I'm hoping he takes it again with the foot movement, his striking ability. I mean, Sandhagen has it as well, but I think Yan, he's just got it, and it's been such a roller coaster year for him as well, losing the belt, and all that. He's itching to get in there, and so I've got it on him. How about you, Timmy?
We are 3 for 3 for going against one another. I've got Sandhagen on this one. I don't know that he's the smart bet, but I don't like Pyotr Yan's attitude. I don't like how he's never been seemingly understanding that he illegally need Aljamain, for God's sakes. He was on the open workouts this morning in Abu Dhabi, and he's faking knees to grounded opponents. Like that's like practicing it. Like it's I get it, but I don't know, idiot. Corey Sandhagen. If Corey can win this fight, imagine how devastated Yan will be, right? Because Yan will now not get to fight for the title with Aljo. God knows what happens with Corey versus Aljo, right? Like, so it can throw that whole division into a very interesting mix if Sandhagen wins. So that's why I like Sandhagen to win, because then Yan would have to fight someone like TJ Dillashaw or Fred go fight Sugar Sean O'Malley or something. You know what I mean? Like, it would make that division very exciting. If Yan wins, then we're just in a waiting game again for Yan versus Aljo, and I feel like we've waited too long for that. The time is almost past. So
Yeah, absolutely, and we love drama, right? So if that happens,
yeah,
amazing, right? So
yeah. So I do want more excitement like that. Prince, we are coming up good to time.
Yes.
One thing I want to let people know, and again, if you've stayed with us for this whole podcast, I really appreciate it. We do have a new sponsor we're working with. We will have a giveaway soon. We are working with Inner Strength Products. So Inner Strength Products, let me just read something here for them. They are a Canadian-based supplier of essential powerlifting gear for both current and aspiring powerlifters. If you want, like, what can you get there, Prince? You've bought stuff.
Yeah, so I got an insert belt from them, SB wrist guards. Actually, if you give me 2 seconds, Tim, I just want to show these guys the quality.
This is good podcasting here.
Yes.
Yeah, they've got things like Sabo shoes, Inzer Advanced Designs, Washlanders, whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah, but if you're a heavy duty power lifter, like they're like, again,
such as yourself,
such as myself, such an avid bodybuilder, such as myself, this is some of the equipment, some of the gear that you would see. And so,
nice.
Yeah, and they send you a nice sticker. They're very responsive. It's a very nice company. So again, Inner Strength, solid.
Nice. So we're working with them. They are going to be sponsors of the show. We're going to have some giveaway. We've got some gift certificates to give away, $50, no minimum spend. I'll tell you right now, if you're listening to this podcast and you want something from Inner Strength Products, send us an email and we'll see what we can do about getting you one even before the giveaway. Okay. But we've got $50 gift certificates that we can give away. Stay tuned for that on our Instagram. Email us at fightinsightpod@gmail.com, or just message us on our Instagram and say that you're interested in it. We'll see what we can do before the giveaway. No promises. Where's Daniel? I need Daniel Martinez to put that in lawyer speak for me, right? What else do we got, Prince? I did want to say next week on the podcast.
Yes.
Very exciting. The Raging Panda. Julia Avila is coming on the podcast. She is the number 14 ranked bantamweight in the UFC. She's fighting our old podcast guest and friend Raquel Pennington. They're fighting in December. It's gonna be a crazy fight of 2 Fight Insight veterans. I'm sure that will be like on all the media and stuff. They'll probably be on the embedded, right? They'll be like, oh, both of them were on Fight Insight.
That's it, and it's probably going to get Fight of the Night regardless, right? So,
well, that's guaranteed. You've got double luck from us. It's like 1,000,000% performance of the night, fight of the night. Jenilyn Olsen, we've already talked about her. She's got her fight. Chris Moutinho, he ended up suffering an injury and wasn't able to compete in his fight, so we're waiting on news for him. So if you're following up, and Trap Gambino, our super heavyweight brother, he somehow something's going on with that fight, man. I don't know where it's at or what's happening, but I think news is coming soon. So I was following his Instagram, of course, and he put something suspicious. I think he's going to be announcing his fight soon.
Okay, wicked. So Trap, good luck. Jenilyn, good luck. I hope you take this one. Yeah. And I mean, Raging Panda next week, and so
that's so cool, man. Raging Panda, go watch her fights, man. The Raging Panda is a monster. If you're not familiar with her, Julia Avila, I think that's how you pronounce her last name, right? Julia Avila. Avila. I got to ask her how to say it properly. But Prince, this was a great podcast, man. Shoot, Daniel Martinez is such a freaking cool guy.
Yeah, solid. Oh my goodness, I learned so much. I wish I took down more notes, but again, we'll have him again next month. He even said next month. So listen, we might have him again on the show. But guys, again, if you want, again, follow us in YouTube, subscribe on YouTube, leave us 5-star reviews. You can follow us at Instagram at Fight Insight Podcast, and you can listen to us at Spotify at Fight Insight Podcast. So Yeah, Tim, there was an amazing, amazing podcast. Again, one of the most informative ones we've had in a long while. So
Yeah.
thank you, Timmy, for booking this one. This one was a solid
Hey
one,
man, he was a good dude, and this guy, you know, like some guests, you know, sometimes we're like, oh, are they gonna show up or whatever? This guy's so responsive, so nice. He's on it, man. Like I can tell. Hey, if that guy's your lawyer, you're in good hands, right? That guy definitely like was all over his schedule and everything. So really appreciative of him. Prince, I had a good time with you, buddy, as always. And
Amazing.
next week's gonna be a good one.
See you next week, buddy.
All right, buddy. There's gonna be things all around here. Go click on some of these things. Go tell your friends to follow us and subscribe and watch us. See you, buddy.